it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and this is part 2 of my art doll making. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, it will be linked in the iCard and below. And this is the part of making the wings in the dress. So this was a long process to make this art paper doll. It's fully articulated. The dress and everything wraps all the way around the body, so there's nothing showing in the back or anything like that. Like, there's no tabs or anything. The dress slips on and is covering the entire back of the doll. And the hair is all the way around. It's like a paper doll that's complete. So the first thing you see here is I'm working on the wings. I'm using, I think it's 18 gauge copper wire, craft wire, and I've drawn kind of like a little template on some deli paper by laying the doll down and then drawing behind it so that I can make it the right size and the right shape for the wings. And then I'm using chain nose pliers and wire cutters to form the wings. I'm twisting them in the middle and bending them on the ends so that I have a little armature in which to put the insides, I don't know how to say it, the insides of the wings, I guess. I end up needing one more piece of wire. I didn't make the wire quite long enough, but it's a pretty obvious process. I'm just bending and wrapping it around, and then the middle part of the wing has like a whole wrapped section. I do end up at some point hammering that down so that it's more flat, but that's much later, and I don't think it's on the video. This whole process, the video part of it was like 5.5 hours long, and that wasn't even all of it. So this was a long labor of love to make this doll for my swap partner. So there's the wing armature. The next thing I'm going to do is I want translucent wings, but I need something to hold in. I'm going to use Dimensional Magic from Mod Podge, which is similar to Glossy Accents. It's like a dimensional, clear, shiny glue. So I'm using this piece of printed tissue paper because I know that when it's got that dimensional magic glue stuff on there, it will be see-through, clear. So I put some on the wire, and then I lay the tissue over it and attempt to let it dry. I'm trying to press it down so that it's all stuck to the wire, so that when I fill in those spaces, which is what I'm going to do here, is so that the clear dimensional glue has a place to pool. Like the wires are the dams around the pool so that it doesn't, flow everywhere. Because this type of product is self-leveling, and it will just run until it's found a barrier or a border to stop. And then once it does, it will sit there and self-level. So now I'm filling in the wing areas with that Dimensional Magic, Glossy Accents, Crystal Effects. It's all the same stuff. It's like a clear, glossy dimensional glue. So my hope is that it will be completely translucent or very near once it's dry. Before it was dry, I did sprinkle some glitter into it because, when you see an insect that has wings flying by, it seems to sparkle. So I just with my fingers sprinkled in a little bit of glitter. So then onto the dress. I know that once she has the dress on, that her arms are going to need to stay in a certain position. So I put the upper part of her arms in what I think is kind of a natural resting position. so that I can draw the bodice. And I'm using again deli paper, which is translucent, so that I can see through and see where to place things. And I'm planning on making a dress that cinches right underneath the breast line and then flares out. So I'm just first making the top part, and I'm making it have puffy sleeves so that if her arms do move a little bit, if her arms go up a little bit, that there is room in there for the articulated parts to move. They won't be stuck or stationary. I'm just saying that for the look of it, you know what I'm saying? If her arms go straight out and then they go outside of the dress, you could tell it's not a dress. So I glue that little pattern to the back of a piece of printed deli paper. Or no, actually, I think this is just regular, I think it's black paper that's been jelly printed. Anyway, all the things I'm making on the dress are jelly printed. And then I glue this printed tissue paper over the areas of the sleeves as if it had like a lacy overlay over the sleeves. That was the effect I was going for. I kind of wish that the tissue paper had been a little bit more translucent though when I glued it down. It still looks pretty white, so you can't see the pattern underneath from the jelly print. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm looking for. And then I need to make a scalloped neckline and scallop on the bottoms of the sleeves as if it has lace around the collar and the sleeves. These are my color boxes. I'm looking in the neutral one for some papers to use on my little dress here. Strangely, I don't have that many black and white type pieces in there. They're all, I don't know, I must have used them all up, so I probably need to print some more stuff on black paper. And I'm using the golds and the bronze, copper, those type of colors along with the black because she's a bee. Ultimately, she's a bee, so she needs to be yellow and black or gold and black or whatever you want to say. So there's the little ruffled edge for the collar at the top. I'll end up cutting a second piece that's the same shape as this to go on the back side, but excuse me, it won't be as fancy. I won't have as many fancy details on it because it's the back of the dress. So I won't spend as much time putting all the little tiny details on. So if you watched this video already this morning and it's been re-uploaded, it's because the sound was gone. Thank you, Susie Q, for telling me that the voiceover was not there. She said the silence was eerie. I'm like, what is she talking about? The silence is eerie. Oh, it's because there's no voiceover, that somehow YouTube lost it. I don't know how that happened. So the bottom part of the dress is made out of this deli paper that's been gel printed, and it's kind of yellow with some dark purple crinkly stuff. It was actually a cleanup print of a bunch of stuff that was on a plate, dried crusty bits, hashtag crusty bits, that I picked up with Naples yellow paint. So I've laid the bodice there, and then I'm drawing out the shape of the bottom of the dress over the paper, and then I'm going to fold it in half and cut out two at the same time. I should have done that with the top too, but I wasn't thinking. And I'm making it the shape of a beehive or a bee skep, to continue the theme, the whole bee thing. And so I'm drawing out the lines there to kind of make it that shape, cinching it in at the top and then kind of going out and making that shape. So at the end, after my doll was complete, I made a folder, an open shut folder in the shape, this same shape, out of some gel printed golden mustard colored paper that I used hexagonal stencils to print. And you won't see that process, but you'll see a picture of it at the end. it's folded shut, and then when you open it up, there's a little place to slide the doll in, and it says Queen Bee, and then you can store it in that, so that it can have a place to live, I guess. I didn't have to do that. That's just I just felt like it. So I'm using a Pitt pen, Faber-Castell India ink pen, to emphasize all those little lines. And the nice thing about that particular type of pen is that you have a couple seconds in which to blend it with your finger before it dries, but then once it's dry, it's permanent. So I can write it, blend it, write it, blend it, write it, blend it, to give some shadow and dimension to the shape of the dress. Then I had this little napkin piece that's from a Thanksgiving type napkin that looks like brocade, and I really wanted to use it, but that piece wasn't big enough to make the whole bottom of the dress. So I collaged it using some Liquitex matte medium onto the dress, and then also the leftover tiny little pieces from that printed tissue paper. I put a little bit of that on there too to make the whole dress coordinate with itself. And you can see there's the front and the back. And then I'm going to stick them together. There's the back piece that I made. And I think that I end up decorating the front piece with another additional scalloped piece across the line there. But I don't do it on the back. But I do add some lacy trim to the bottom of the sleeves on the back side. So I'm doing some more emphasizing here with the Pitt pen, just to make sure that those lines show up so that you can see what the shape is supposed to be. You can see where the boobies are, because that's always important, right? You saw my warning at the beginning. If you are offended by naked paper dolls, you need to not watch this video. So here I am making the little scalloped area for the trim right there. And I just use different random pieces that are in my color boxes. The color boxes are plastic boxes that used to contain mini cinnamon rolls that my mom likes to eat. And when she eats them, she saves the boxes for me. And I use them to separate all my scraps of, all types of painted papers, gel printed papers, random found papers, cleanup papers, all those. I separate them into the boxes by color so that I can use them on paper painting and collage, which is something that I really love. I haven't done that much on the channel recently. I'll do more because it's really, collage and paper painting are my favorite. So the way this dress is going to function is that it will be attached on the front and on the back with some Velcro. And I need to have an area in the back of the dress that splits so that when you pull it on, since it's made out of paper, when you push it onto the doll, it doesn't get ruined. It doesn't tear or anything. So I cut a split down the back of the dress, and then I glue some extra pieces of paper on the side that shows it is the stinger of the bee. So it's like a long pointed piece, and then I'll end up putting some bling on it eventually. And that's what's giving a stopping area for the split not to split anymore. Once you tear something or cut something, then it becomes weak and it can split. So here you see me putting the Velcro dots on the front part of the dress. They are self-adhesive, and so I put the two sides together, I cut it in the middle, and then I peel the one side and stick it down onto the doll. So that's going to be the loop side, and then the fuzzy side is still attached. I peel the tops off of them, and then I put the dress down over it and line it all up, and then that way the fuzzy part is in the right place so that when you put it back down, it fits and is in the correct position on the doll. So then I glued the two sides together, leaving the whole top open. I just glued the dresses, the skirt part together on either side with some tacky glue. And then I'm putting the Velcro dots on the back of her arms. So the only places that she has Velcro are on the front and back of the upper part of her arm. and that holds the whole dress on. So that's what I'm doing now. The same thing, sticking the halves on there, then pulling away the sticky back and pressing the dress down over it. So the loop part is on the doll, the fuzzy part is on the dress, I think. It might actually be backwards. It might be the other way. But anyway, you get the idea. So now that dress will stay on there. It's not going to come off, and there isn't any tabs required or anything. So then now I've got my little wings. I'm like, how am I going to attach these? So do I want them under the dress? I eventually decide that I need them over the dress on the outside. So I again take one of the little Velcro dots, stick it together, the front and back sides of it together. Then I put it on the dress, on the top and back side of the dress, and then see, I'm still thinking. I can see me tapping on the desk, thinking about it. So I just put it on the dress, then I take the top part off and cut that Velcro dot into two so that the dress can still open. And then I put its other side back on, peel off the sticky back, and put the wings on it so that the wings are now having a sticky dot Velcro on them. And that's what makes them attach. But the one part of the Velcro, the loop part of the Velcro, has been cut in half so that the dress can still split open and be removed. So then on to just doing some detail finishing. I start with a white Posca pen to try to highlight some like little stitching areas and the little scallop areas of the details that I put on there that were kind of fading in to the background because they were dark and everything was dark. And I go way past just putting some white Posca pen on there. The next thing I try is using this PBO copper paint pen. A nice pen as well. It's not stinky. I think it must be acrylic based pen, but it's copper color. That doesn't stand out that much either. And so I get out this stuff that I personally refer to as bling tape, but I'm not sure what it's actually called. I think it's a product maybe that you can find in the cake decorating area of the craft store. I've seen it there before for like putting around the base of cakes and things like that to make them maybe, like wedding cakes. And it's a whole bunch of little shiny rhinestoney things that are sewn together with thread. So you can trim them apart and use them individually, and you can, just make it, you can make it like a line like I did at the bottom of the dress, or then I cut the little pieces apart and I glue them onto the trim of the dress, and I'm using this pickup tool to pick them up and place them. It has sticky stuff, like tacky, rubbery stuff on the end to help you pick up little things like rhinestones and sequins and things like that and place them in place where your, in my case, very fat fingers can't do it very well. In the description box below will be the materials I used, and that will be, of course, listed there if you'd like to get one of those off of Amazon, because they're very handy if you're going to use any type of little gems or sequins or anything like that. So I put the individual ones on the trim of the dress, and then I'm going to repeat it, of course, on the back as well. And then this particular bling tape also has some pieces sewn into it that look like the shape of flowers, like embossed metal flowers. And so I cut those out and I scatter them randomly on the dress because bees get their pollen from flowers. So I thought that was appropriate to make some shiny flowers on the dress randomly. And then also just scatter in some of the individual ones in between. The glue I'm using is Thermoweb iCraft Mixed Media Glue, and what I like about it is that it has a tiny little nozzle, so I can put just one little tiny drop of glue where I need it, and then use the pickup tool to place the rhinestone in it, and that all works pretty good. She's looking pretty blingy. I'm not going to put shoes on her feet. She's a bee. She shouldn't even really have feet, so... Anyway, moving on to the back. adding some more rhinestones, you know, like that. Once I was happy with all that, I added some to the back as well. Not a lot, but a little bit. Probably the most fun part being that I put a line of those rhinestones right down the stinger. So her stinger has, it's blinged out. It's a sting with bling. So anyway, at the end you will see a folder that I made for her to live inside. It's this shape of a beehive and it folds over, and then when you open it up there's a little place to tuck her inside. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this if you want to. That's it for me. Bye-bye.